Joseph Sherlock is a senior behavioral researcher at the Center for Advanced Hindsight at Duke University. We're so excited to have Joseph this year talk about a project he's been working on with the City of Durham, where they're applying behavioral science to optimize transportation choices. Here's Joey to share some more about that research.
Good morning. Okay, so look, I've got 10 minutes to tell you about behavioral TDM, and I plan to tell you about basically the sort of the idea in general and the approach that we take to it, and then I plan to tell you about 3 studies that we've 2 that we've run and 1 that we are about to or have run but and are about to analyze as it relates to our work with Durham. Alrighty, so I'll get going. So look, let's start by saying 15% of America's annual emissions come from car transportation. So look, this is a really, I'm sure we don't need to convince this audience, but this is a really big problem. And we at the Center for Advanced Hindsight like to take the approach here where we're looking to understand this from not necessarily just an infrastructure perspective, but trying to understand it from a behavioral perspective to see how we can use the thinking that we do to influence people's decision making, and as a result the behaviors that they do. So we are an applied research center. We focus on trying to make people happier, healthier, and wealthier, and we like to think that the work that we do and the approach that we take here fits between academia and applied work. So we are somewhere in this space. The approach that we take, and the one that I want to spend a little bit of time talking about, is taking a combination of behavioral economics, human-centered design, and rigorous evaluation to tackle problems. So start with the beginning. So what I mean by using behavioral economics in this context is trying to understand why people make the decisions they do, taking an evidence-based approach to learning about this area, building on the research that's already been done, and really sort of picking apart the decisions that individuals are making, sort of piece by piece. Moving then into, and so we use that to try and help design and come up with hopefully novel and interesting and useful solutions. We then leverage human-centered design techniques, so looking to understand how users interact with a given idea, a given product or service, understand where the tension points are, what their how they use it, whether that's different or in line with what we expected, and to use these human-centered design principles to develop ideas, to take something from just an idea all the way through sort of prototyping iteratively into something that works in the real world and is testable. And then finally, look, once we have solutions that seem to be working in the real world, it's really important. I think this is a key point for the field. I think it's really important that we are able to leverage sort of rigorous evaluation to make sure that as we develop really good ideas and roll them out into the world, that we are doing so in a way where we're able to learn, where we're able to say, hey, this worked or this didn't work, and as a result, this other area should take it on, or they should push further and explore with this build on this idea or experiment in a different way. But I think this is a really important point, and something that isn't necessarily so well done yet in the TDM field. So to summarize then, look, we're looking to take these sort of 3 big approaches to innovation: behavioral economics, human-centered design, and rigorous evaluation, and bring them together in such a way that we can both build and test, hopefully, really good solutions. So with that approach and with that grounding, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Mayor's Challenge. So we've got 2 experiments that we've run here, and I think some of you might have seen these before. So I might push through the first one reasonably quickly, get on to the second one, and then sort of ideate with you around the third one. So the Mayor's Challenge is a Bloomberg Philanthropies funded program that enables us, the Center for Advanced Hindsight, to work with the City of Durham and their TDM representatives to build hopefully useful solutions to our single occupancy vehicle reliance problem in Durham to build and to test them to hopefully develop good thinking that we can then scale beyond just Durham. Our goal is to decrease the use of single occupancy vehicles and, of course, increase sustainable mode use. So hopefully a goal that is akin to lots of other people. So using the approach that we just talked through, we started out in Durham by looking at personalized route solutions. So looking to say, can we take someone's home address and someone's work address and identify how they can get to work by not necessarily by not driving, what other modes are available to them, and how can we present this in a useful and meaningful way to encourage people to try out an alternative mode. So we know that this is something that is done a lot in the TDM space, but is often done in a sort of face-to-face, this sort of commuter concierge type approach. So we wanted to take that idea and see if we could turn it into something digital and scalable. So as you can see on the slide, we took the idea and really started very basic, iterated through a series of different iterations using the human-centered design principles that we talked about before, getting feedback along the way through focus groups, through one-on-one sessions, through expert interviews, iterating and developing to the point where we got what was effectively, I guess, a minimum viable product, which was an email template that we could pull in using Python. We could pull someone's home address, someone's work address, identify what the route was, and then push it out to them as an email communication. So to start with, it was quite simple and also a little bit manual. You know, we've done this in Python. We've done it sort of in a sort of clunky way with us working in the background. Nevertheless, we took this into a field experiment. We also combined it with a bus lottery. So this was a more simple idea, essentially telling people that they have the opportunity to ride the bus and be entered into a lottery as a result. So we had 3 conditions. We had a control group who just got surveys. We had our personalized route intervention group who just got 2 versions of the person, and we had a personalized route plus bus lottery condition who also got the bus lottery email as well as the personalized route emails. We ran this study over 5 weeks and we collected data using self-report pulse survey data. So overall, we found a 9.3 percentage point reduction in drive alone rates, which was statistically significant and seemed to be quite impactful. So this is suggesting then that sending people these personalized routes that we were able to develop just sort of in a reasonably quick and iterative way seemed to have a positive impact on people's drive alone rates. We didn't necessarily see any difference between the personalized route condition and the personalized route plus bus lottery condition, which suggests that extra bit didn't necessarily add anything to the effect. So study 1, we were successful with this study and we were able to win a much larger pot of funding out of Bloomberg Philanthropies to continue to work on this. To fast forward a little bit, and we have we moved towards a second partnership, still within the City of Durham, but this time partnering with a large local university, NCCU. We first, again, leveraging the human-centered design principles, looked to explore the context. So we conducted exploratory surveys. We got stuck into interviews and focus groups with NCCU students, and got stuck into expert interviews to explore some of the ideas that we were playing with in this space. Again, looking to build a picture, build an understanding of the context so that as and when we look to innovate and build solutions, we're doing so from a really informed perspective. So we looked to build on the first study we ran with the City of Durham. And so we set up a similar experimental design where we had a control group. We had 2 intervention groups. One was just got, you'll see here, they're called smart trip emails. That was just a rebranding. We really just mean personalized route emails. And then the third condition got 2 smart trip emails plus 2 further follow-up emails. So we're looking to see if we extend this into a little bit of a campaign, does that improve the effectiveness of the intervention? So we tested in a very similar way, this time over a longer time period. It was about 12 weeks. And we see A similar effect, so to the third group here, the personalized route plus, this is the personalized route condition that also got the additional 2 emails. We see about a 7.1 percentage point reduction in drive alone rates, which is also, again, statistically significant. So this is great. We now have 2 studies that seem to show the effectiveness of this intervention. I think that the nuance here is that it seems like the more we send these emails, the more the effect sustains. And so we can see as we look at the week by week effects here that the impact actually grows larger in our personalized route plus conditions as time goes on, as people are reminded to try alternative means. So it's really nice, a really good finding. I think what's also quite cool about this is that this second study, we were actually we partnered with RANDOMIZED, and they were able to build the personalized route tool out into their platform. And so we moved from what started out as quite a simple and quite manual process, us pulling these email templates together in Python, all the way through to what is now a much more streamlined and sophisticated approach that enables us to control the messaging, control the campaign, and ultimately we're in a position where we're able to scale this much more. So seems like it's going quite well, and this is a really nice, I think, a really nice example of innovation that is run iteratively and is now about to move into impact and scale. We actually, unfortunately, had one study that was live and just about to send out these sort of a nuanced and iterated version of these personalized routes with the City of Austin, which got pulled sort of mid-launch as things started to melt down. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to look at a third study just yet, but I think hopefully in the not too distant future, we'll be able to explore that a little bit more. Okay, so there's 2 studies that seem to be working quite well. I want to finish by showing you one idea that we're working with. It's a study that is, again, currently live with the City of Austin, although I think we really only got about a week's worth of data before everything melted down. So we'll see if we can make anything of it. But the idea is to leverage commitment devices in parallel or in combination with several other sort of behavioral concepts to try and see if we could encourage people to follow through on what we believe is their existing intentions to commute. So the context here is working with the City of Durham's annual leave program, where they're able to incentivize people to not drive to work, use alternative transportation by offering them extra days off, which is a really cool program, really cool idea. They have lots of people sign up each year or in the time they've done it so far, but not necessarily everyone follows through. So they sign up and they get their initial reward, but they don't necessarily follow through and track trips and demonstrate that they're changing their behavior. So we worked with them to build into their onboarding survey a set of ideas where we take someone through, first of all, visualizing what they're going to potentially do with this new exciting time off that they might gain. And the idea here is to try and close the gap between our current selves and our future selves, sort of reduce the psychological distance there to help make that potential future experience of time off more tangible, more real, more psychologically enticing. So getting them to visualize exactly what they would do with that time and think emotively about how they would feel, who would they be with, will hopefully reduce that psychological distance. We then wanted them to plan out exactly how they were going to commute via the alternative means that they set a goal in this. They say, this is how much I'd like to not drive, or this is how much I'd like to cycle to work. So we then get them to plan that out and think about all of the things that they need to do to be in a position to be able to do it. We then get them to think through what are the potential barriers, what might stop them from being able to follow through, and then troubleshoot that and overcome that with if-then statements. If this arises, this is how I'll overcome it. And then finally, we pull it together by pulling them into a commitment device where we ask them to commit to following through on the goal that they've made with using the mode that they've chosen, and doing so with the plan that they've lined up. So this is a potentially quite a cool idea. We've built it into a survey an onboarding survey, so it's digital. We have people seeing this, half of the people seeing this and half of the people not. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I think we've got about a week's worth of data. So people were onboarded, and then they had about a week's worth of commuting before they were asked to work at home. So we're pulling the data at the moment, and hopefully in a future presentation we'll be able to share out how that went. Alrighty, I think that's all from me. Thank you very much for having me, and I hope the rest of the conference goes well.
Thanks, Joey. It was great to see some of that research, and we had a couple of questions in the background that I think we have answered, or at least addressed a few things. But in the interest of time, we're going to send some of those questions to you offline so we can keep moving with today's program. The one question, though, that I do want to quickly ask, because I'd love to know this as well. So the Center for Advanced Hindsight is such an awesome name. Do you guys have any like merchandise or anything that's got that on there that you might be able to share with folks?
I'm sure we can send through some goodies. Yeah, if someone wants to follow up, we've got all sorts of fun walking around the office.
I'll help make the connection. Thanks for joining us today, Joey, and thanks for all the great work you're doing.